Hello, everybody. How's it going? My name is Mikey Lax, and welcome to the inaugural album review, on my new channel. Except I've posted here a couple times before. I'm doing album reviews now. It was inevitable. It was gonna happen eventually. It's happening now. Let's go. We're a decent chunk into 2020 already, and so I'm gonna spend the next few weeks just playing catch up, unless something major comes out, like the new Playboi Carti record. I might get that one out, assuming it comes out on time. I might get that one out pretty quick. But until there's a new record that's really good, I'm gonna play some catch up with January through April. And we're starting today with Mac Miller's final album, Circles. Pittsburgh rapper, producer, singer-songwriter Malcolm McCormick, aka Mac Miller, passed away in September of 2018. And many fans wondered whether we'd hear from him because he was such a prolific artist. He just was cranking out album after album after album for the majority of his career. He had a massive, almost cult following. It was a really big loss in a line of losses, from Lil Peep and X to even more recent deaths like Kobe and Juice WRLD. Very early this year, we were hit with the single Good News, the lead single from Circles, a really heartbreaking track. I love the muted guitar that has some delay on it. It also features a great performance from Mac. I feel like I can see the meadow that he's performing in when I listen to this song. Critically acclaimed single, everybody loved it. I don't know a single person that didn't like it. And all of this being said, I don't think people realized what we were going to get with this album. Up until this point, every posthumous release had been not great, especially X's and Lil Peep's. Excluding people like Prince, they don't really count in this. I'm talking like new generation people. But Circles is something special. I hope that it seals in history that Mac Miller was still an evolving artist whose candle got put out way too early. There's so much goddamn potential for a brand new genre on this album right here. And a lot of that potential is fulfilled. Mac does come through with some thought-provoking lyrics, pithy quotables, and great performances across the board. Let's just say he grew a lot vocally over the last few years of his career. Circles is without a doubt Malcolm's most consistent album vocally. I can tell he had a grasp on what his voice can and can't do. He knows how to play to his strengths, and the hooks on this album, when they're hot, they're unstoppable. I think Complicated and Everybody have two of the best hooks Mac ever released. And his rapping is still at its best the few times it does show up. I want to take a minute to highlight Blue World, a stellar track with just impeccable flows. It's just divine. Speaking of production, the album goes a lot of interesting places on the production side of things as well. I mentioned Blue World. The production on this track assembles almost like the Voltron of chill. There's even a psychedelic quality to this cut. The LFO on the what da you know that part? I don't know what it's called. I don't want to call it a melody, but it's kind of the melody. I don't know. But right from the beginning of the album, with the title track, the bar is set in terms of production. The best way I can use to describe the aesthetic of this album is bittersweet. It is beautiful, no doubt. Beautiful across the board. But there's at least one layer of sadness in every track, and it just is... Man, I can't believe it's his last one. A unique thing about this album is there are so many highlights, I feel like they cover each other up. Someone could name almost any track on this album and say, that one, that is my favorite song Mac Miller ever made. And I would be like, yeah. Yeah, it's a very good one. Great choice. Hand-Me-Downs is a great track that comes just after the halfway mark. I love the guest spot on the hook. I love Mac's performance, his lyrics. It's just a very thoughtful track. I also want to talk about Surf for a moment. I love the way that the production evolves on this track. I love the buzzing guitar that enters the arena after a little while. And I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but Mac's performance on this track, my God! It's just incredible. And, this song really makes me the saddest out of every track on this album, despite the fact that I'd argue it's slightly upbeat. But you know what? The song is about rebirth and growing and learning from what life hits you with. He had a bright outlook. He was convinced that things were going to get better, and he passed away. We don't get to see the artist that he would have continued to grow into. And I think that is one of the hardest parts for me. The album isn't perfect. I think the track Woods is pretty middle of the road. The production is just alright. And I guess Mac's performance is great, but like, I can't understand what he's saying. And I get that I can look up the lyrics, but like, even in the rap verses, I have no clue what he's saying. And that doesn't always bother me with other artists, but I feel like this album does a great job of I can understand almost everything that he says when he says it, like when it's recorded. And to just have one song where I have absolutely no clue what he's saying, I don't know. It feels off balance. Like, it makes the song feel off balance because it doesn't blend in with the others like it should. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I can't figure out why I don't like it, but I don't. I'm also pretty back and forth on That's On Me as well. There are times I love the hook, there are times I can't stand it. I like the sentiment of the track, but the actual melody drives me crazy. That's on me, it's on my phone. The verses are good. I like the layering in the first verse, and there's some cool effects on the back half of the second verse. But I get so distracted by how irritating I find the melody of the hook that I can't enjoy the rest of the song. Honestly though, if the worst parts of this album is that one song is middle of the road and another song doesn't have a great hook, this is an incredible album. I feel like I have so much more to say about this album. It's my first review and I kind of don't want it to go too long, so I'm going to get into the scoring section. I thought a lot about how I wanted to do the scoring system, mostly because I don't really believe in scoring art, but I figured that it does help some people get a gauge on their thoughts on the project. It gives a number that helps put it in categories even when I don't think it should be categorized. I have decided that I'm going to be rating albums on a 0 to 100 scale. It helps me be more accurate in my reviews. Like a 50%, like exactly 50% is a perfectly indifferent review. I don't feel one way or the other. With that being said, I think Circles is an incredible album, full of uncertainty in the best way possible, but there's also glimpses of hope that can sadly never be fully attained. I give Mac Miller's Circles a 91%. Thank you so much for watching. Next time, I'm going to be looking at the Denzel Curry-Kenny Beats collaboration, Unlocked. Tell me what albums you want me to cover. Like I said, if Playboi Carti's album comes out when he says it is, that'll probably be the next review after Unlocked. If you are going to recommend an album, do try to stick to albums that came out this year, but don't shy away from asking for stuff from beforehand, because there will be times where just not enough new good albums came out, and so I will be venturing into the past, or just whatever I'm listening to. You know, I want this to be very free. I don't want to stick to too harsh of a schedule. I don't want to drive myself crazy. I want this to be fun, and I want to talk about music with other people. So yeah, tell me what you thought of my review in the comments. You know, yell at me for not giving it a 100. You know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Tune in next time when I will play Grand Theft Auto in my underwear. All right then.